There are properties within our region of around 300 to 320,000 pounds. Next question was asked, why Bath? Isn't it nearly as expensive as London? Someone said, how do you afford to save whilst living in London? So the next question is, are yours or Zara's parents helping? Hello everyone, how are we all doing? I hope you're all doing very well. Wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching from, I hope you're doing grand, sending lots of love to you all. I'm very excited about this video for two reasons. One, more so just to answer a lot of questions that I've had in comments on previous videos, and also just to give you an update as to where we are with our house buying journey. If you are new here, then hi, my name's Luke. I am a 23-year-old vlogger and also social media creator, I guess you could call me that. I don't really know my official title. I live in London with my really good friend, best friend, my soulmate Zara, and we are buying a house together, hopefully next year. So yeah, I've created a series on YouTube. I've done some previous videos with Zara. I've done update videos. I've talked about deposits. I've talked about how we're saving money, that kind of thing. So I'll link all of those down below so you can kind of get to speed. But this is going to be an update primarily, and also a Q&A of some questions that I've asked over on Instagram. So hopefully if you are up to speed, you'll know that we aren't going to be buying in London. Currently live in London, southwest London, and we chose to live here. I've lived south my whole time in London, which is coming up to 5 years in September. 5 years in London. It is just, I mean, it feels like 50, but it's been a journey. It's been a ride. I feel like I've grown. I feel like I've really became so, I've essentially became an adult in London, which is just, it's a place I'll always hold so fondly in my heart. And I've spoke to so many people about this, about why we're leaving London and why we aren't buying in London. And we're both 23 years old. I'm turning 24 in July, so next month. And we are still very young in terms of getting on the property ladder. However, in London, for what we want in terms of a property, you would need upwards of around £700,000, which is just, it's an unfathomably, it's a large amount of money, basically. It's money we don't really have. It's money we aren't really in a position to be paying at 23, 24. So that's why we aren't buying in London. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I have made a video previously where I said that we were going to be moving to Bath. I'm going to be speaking more about that as well. So that's generally just where we are. So yes, in answer to a lot of the questions, we are still moving. We are still buying a house. And that's the general consensus. I know a lot of you have asked questions in terms of that we've gone out for meals, that we've made home purchases, that I got a new car. How did that all fit in with the finance? So, in all honesty, I have allowed myself a little bit of leeway in terms of religiously saving. Things with the car, I didn't buy it outright, thankfully. I pay monthly for my car, as I said in the video. The deposit wise, I just transferred from my previous car to my new one. I wasn't gifted the car. I wasn't, I know a couple of people said, oh, you worked with Auto Trader over on Instagram, who's clearly gifted the car. I mean, I wish I was gifted a Mini. I wasn't. Paid for it out of my own money. I pay for it monthly. So yes, it's still very much in line with my finances. So we pay £700 for our rent, which in London is around average. It's average to low, believe it or not. So the total for our flat is £1,400 per calendar month without any bills or utility. That does include car parking as well, which is really good. In Southwest London, we're in zone 3, so that takes us around, I'd say about half an hour to 40 minutes to get into like central London, which is pretty good going. However, the property market, if you are currently in the UK, is kind of a crazy place to be at the moment. I look on Rightmove daily, I'm not gonna lie. When I say I'll load up the app, I've had properties saved on here for around 16 to 17 months. And I scrolled all the way to the bottom of the saved properties that I had from around the start of the pandemic, when I started looking at property and really taking it seriously. There are properties within our region of around 300 to 320,000 pounds in the areas we were looking at. Properties now for the same type of spec are around 450,000, which is just crazy. They have exploded, generally because of the holiday that the government put in place for stamp duty. Also, the government in the UK has, I'm not sure if the UK or just England, has introduced 5% deposits, which is just, again, ludicrous in my personal opinion. I think it's a really great idea, but I think it's just crazy in terms of getting such a large mortgage. I know it will help so many people, but for us it just doesn't really work. So hence why it's became like the Hunger Games. Zara currently works in property, and she's getting the general consensus that the rental market is actually down. And I mean, to be fair, we could maybe even approach our landlord and say, have you thought about our rent? Because I mean, this flat probably was once worth £1,400, but the rental market really has gone down. People are asking for rent reductions. We're not going to do that because we're more than happy to pay what we are. But we've got a few friends who've maybe pitched in at a lower value that have actually secured a flat for lower than it was advertised, renting. Where we're currently at, it's June. We've signed 18 months on our tenancy. Basically, by January 2022, which is in 7 months, around 7 months, the tenancy on this flat ends. And our landlord has said that we can do a roll-in tenancy, which basically means we can continue living here month to month. And when we do finally find a property, have the mortgage accepted and have the completion, we just need to give him a 2-month notice period so he can get new tenants in here and we can move out and make the flat nice and brand new for the new tenants to come and enjoy. In terms of deposit, we are both still obviously saving, and I feel like we're in a really good position in terms of how much we have saved. I spoke about this previously in terms of how I'm saving. I'm not going to cover it in this video, but I'll link that video down below. But I have obviously multiple income streams. I am full-time on YouTube, so obviously YouTube does come in with sponsorships as well. Zara obviously is full-time as well in property, so together our salary, multiply it by roughly 4.5. With a deposit, we're in a really good place, which brings me on to the questions that people have asked on Instagram. So I'm going to leave them on the screen now. So there's quite a few questions I've got here, so I'm just going to go through them. I think a few of them I have already covered. So if you do have any further questions or things that I haven't covered in this video, leave them in the comments and I'll absolutely get back to you. I love reading what you have to say. Someone asked, what are your 3 criteria for properties? So top 3 criteria for properties looking at and currently looking at. So we've spoke about this, but we basically would love a house. Really love a house. We love the flat that we're in, and it's a really spacious flat, but we ideally would like a house. We're really not bothered whether it's a bungalow, a townhouse, a semi-detached house, a terraced house. Ideally, it would be 3 bedrooms, 1 for myself, 1 for Zara, and a 3rd bedroom for an office/guest bedroom, so it would be like multifunctional. But again, not an essential. If we can only manage to get a 2-bed with some potential to go into the loft, that's absolutely a thought process. That's kind of what we want to do. We really want to renovate properties, so yeah. That's kind of it. Someone's also asked, what are you looking for in a house? That's pretty much it. A garden, again, getting a garden in London is pretty much non-existent. A garden would be wonderful. Maybe we could look at adopting a dog, which would just be a joy. So yeah, a garden and a house, that's pretty much it. We're really easy. We really want to renovate it and add some love and personality to it. So the more run down, the better. And character, I'd say that's pretty much it. I know a lot of people have multiple must-haves, such as like car park and garage in a catchment area for schools. Obviously, we don't have kids. So yeah, we just want a property with character that we can really transform and pop some love into it. We ideally like something that really needs fully renovating, which would be a dream. Okay, so the next question was asked, why Bath? Isn't it nearly as expensive as London? So I made a video previously stating that we are moving to Bath, and that is still very much like 90% of where our heart lies. The thing is, Zara's job is forever changing, and there was the element of flexibility with her job that potential now isn't there, so it needs to be ideally commutable to London. So we are like 90% on Bath, but it could still very much change. We love Bath, but for where we currently stand, that's where our heart is. It is expensive, but it's honestly nowhere near as expensive as London. It's beautiful, it has so much culture and food. Oh, we love it, we absolutely love it. Someone said, how do you afford to save whilst living in London? I have covered this in a previous video. I would say budget your money to the penny if you can. I have an app called Moneybox. It's what I currently have my help to buy ISA in, my lifetime ISA. It's a lifetime ISA actually, so you put in £4,000 per year, up to £4,000. The government give you an extra 1,000, but I also have a roundup feature on there, so however much I spend throughout the month, they round it up and then save the extra cash as well. So it's just a really good way that's just constantly saving. I also have premium bonds, which I can generate some money from as well. I'm currently looking at stocks and investment, and it's something I haven't really spoke about, but I'm learning about stocks and investment opportunities to really make my money and savings go further, because interest rates in banks are terrible. Yeah, other than that, I am obviously in a very fortunate position that I do get to work with brands, so I am, you know, that kind of thing does help in terms of buying product. But if I wasn't in the position that I am, where I created content like this, and I was in a regular job, didn't have as many perks, I would still be really regiment with my spending. So yeah, that's pretty much how we do it. Someone said, do you and Zara earn the same salary? This is a very good question. We don't. We don't. It's very rare. I mean, do you know what? Sometimes in friendships and couples, etc., when you are applying for a mortgage, it's very rare that the salaries match. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Myself and Zara's salary is different. I'm not going to say whose is more and whose is less, but essentially we are in a very fortunate position that our household income can allow us to get a property within the 300 to 400,000 pound bracket, which is fab. But when we do come to splitting bills and splitting rent, it's always equal. The way it will work, which also just goes on to another question, said, are you and Zara together? We aren't together, and we're just friends. But the way it will work is we will get a mortgage written up that shows how much we are putting in terms of deposit, whether it is equal or whether one person's putting in more. So whatever it comes to, if we meet someone or if we want to sell, remortgage, however, someone can release their funds and it's just all done legally, if that makes sense. So the next question is, are yours or Zara's parents helping? I'm presuming you mean in helping in terms of the finance for the property, like deposit or something. No, we have no financial support from our parents. God, that makes them sound bad. I don't mean it like that. I mean, our parents aren't giving us any money towards the property. No family members are. We're doing it off of our own back through hard saving of cash, which I know a lot of other people are in the same position. And I also know there are a lot of people out there who are very fortunate to have financial support and help from their family. For us, even if our parents were in a position to help financially, we were both from very humble beginnings, very working class backgrounds. I don't think we'd accept it just on the basis that we really just want to say we've done it ourselves. But there's absolutely no shade to anyone out there who needs help from their family or their parents. I completely understand why people do it. If it means you can get on the property ladder quicker and pay your family back, fine. That just isn't an option for us. So no financial help from our parents is an answer to that question. Someone said, why are you leaving London? You look like you love it. In all honesty, we actually do love it. Like, me and Zara spoke about this the other day. Now that lockdown's easing in the UK, we're out and about in London, you've seen in the blogs, and we have a whale of a time, hence why we moved. We both moved to London because we love London and we love everything about it. We love the food, the people, the culture, the opportunities. We would not be in the position we are right now without London. Like, I am so grateful for it. But I don't know whether we've fallen out of love with London or whether we've fallen out with London and its negatives. Because London is as great and lovely as it is, actually does have a lot of negatives. For instance, where we live, in our flat, the location, there's just, it's not really in the best location, I'm not gonna lie. It's quite, I don't want to use the word risky area to live in, but I mean, we live on one of the busiest high roads, actually in Europe. It's one of the largest and busiest high roads. The sirens are constant. We don't feel like 100% safe on an evening. It's just very expensive to live here, as I've already covered, if you want to buy. Yeah, it's just a lot of things. I feel like we just need some greenery in our life, I'm not gonna lie, guys. A bit of greenery, a bit of fresh air. We've been here 5 years, it'll be nearly 6 by the time we come to leave, and I think 6 years in somewhere as hectic and crazy as London, I feel like we just need a little bit of a breather. Not to say that we won't ever move back though. Someone asked, how will being a self-employed content creator affect getting a mortgage? It's a very good question. So when you are self-employed, the general rule of thumb is that you have to supply at least 2 years minimum of tax returns if you're a sole trader, which I am. If you're VAT registered, I think you need 3, plus also 3 months of bank statements. So I hire an accountant to do all of my sole trader tax returns, so she adds up all of my income throughout every single financial year, works out my expenses, does my taxes, I pay the tax bill. Well, I mean, it's just a lot of money to the tax man, and I'm like, oh gosh, one lump sum, but it's just how it works when you're self-employed. I think you can do it monthly. So essentially, as long as I've got my books up to date, it is more of a risk to loan to someone who is self-employed. However, if you have all of your finances in order and can give at least 2 years of self-employed returns to HMRC, then it should be absolutely fine. Other things that do also impact getting a mortgage are things like credit score. You've got to have a good credit score, good credit history. So that's also taken into consideration. Your monthly outgoings and expenses are also taken into consideration. Are you financially secure? Do you spend frivolously? Do you have a credit card? All those things are taken in consideration. Also, buying with Zara, who is on payroll, who's an employee of a company, that will help massively as well. So together, the risk essentially with buying with Zara, the risk factor goes down. It's still risky having someone who is self-employed, but if I can provide enough of a history of income that is substantial and, well, not even substantial, but just secure and continuous, then we should be fine. I've spoken to a lot of self-employed people and people who are in a similar industry as me as content creators, and it is definitely possible and it's definitely doable. It's just a bit more tricky. I'm going to wrap up the questions there. Like I say, if you do have any other things that you want to ask me, by all means leave them in the comments. I will get back to you. But I just thought I'd give you all a bit of an update, because I know there's been a couple of questions asking whether, because we haven't really mentioned it much about whether we are still moving. The answer is yes, and we're just genuinely so excited for it. I feel like I'm ready. I said this to Zara, we feel like we are ready for a change, whether that change is a house or a different location or whatever it is. We're just ready for something new in our lives. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys as well for tuning in every single video, for your continued support and love and encouragement, because I know you're all rooting for us, because it gives us that little bit of motivation as well to just keep going, and we love it. We absolutely love hearing from you all, so thank you so much. It doesn't go unnoticed, and your support is always appreciated. So big love to you all. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you have enjoyed this little update, do give it a thumbs up. I'll be documenting the whole process when it does come to it in January onwards, so yeah, stick around for that, because it's gonna be a journey. Yeah, love to you all. Take care, have a lovely week, and I'll catch you all very soon. Bye for now.